Welcome to Business Blurb U and the Dropouts podcast. My name is Brendan Cox, and I'm on the line with my co-host Devin Caherly. We cover unique yet successful entrepreneurs every week, so make sure to hit that subscribe button to stay in the loop. Today we have a very special guest. His name's Jack Caherly. He's a social media extraordinaire with over 100,000 followers on TikTok and a wannabe investor. Thanks for coming on the show today, Jack. First, I just want to get the elephant out of the room. Obviously, you're Devin's brother. And Devin obviously has a huge following on social media. What is it like having a brother who's famous? Are your DMs swamped, or what's it
Yeah.
like?
Yeah,
What is that like?
it's an honor being on here. What's up, guys? What it's like? Yeah, it's pretty funny, honestly. I mean, going from just our room, like coming back from college, seeing just ring lights everywhere, like that's one thing. But and then it turned into me actually using those ring lights. But I mean, from the beginning, yeah, Devin definitely knew like social media
Did a lot
was what.
did a lot of people like see my TikTok when I first started out or not really?
Yeah, no, I'll get into that. I think it's longer than that, honestly. I mean, you were kind of on the social media wave for a minute. Like, even, like, you were on it and you knew you could use it as a tool way even before I even saw it as that. It was more so like, oh, social media, people post, like, high school stuff, like, this is my life, like, promoting, oh, this is, like, the crazy life I live. But like obviously we're on that trying to grow brands on that beforehand. I mean, you could probably think that to Gary Vee. I remember hearing that like you were sophomore in high school, and I was like, who is this
That is
Gary
true.
Vee guy that you're just saying all this stuff on? But I mean, he was definitely way before the whole crowd on that. He was saying like, oh, the marketing benefits, all this, that, and you were saying that as well. But I think you kind of learning some of that stuff and getting into it at like early age, like sophomore in high school, junior in high school, that gave you a huge advantage. And like, yeah, there's always like the case of someone might hop on TikTok and get famous out of nowhere, but like it definitely with you, like you learned a lot about the algorithm, a lot about like, all right, this is what people want, this is what's trending, this will work. Like it was a lot of testing, not. But I mean, it started on Instagram. You grew the DC Millionaire. Definitely kept that low key. You didn't tell many people in high school about that until like senior year or whatever. You were like, fuck it. Like, I don't. Oh, wait. Are we allowed to curse?
Yeah.
I didn't know. I was holding back. But yeah. And then you were kind of just like, you know what? I don't care what people think. Like, I see a future of making this happen and growing my own brand on social media and using that as all the benefits.
With DC Millionaire, that's obviously now Business Blurb. What were you thinking? Like, Jack, what were you thinking when Devin was doing this stuff in high school? Like, was he like telling you about it, or was he like keeping it like low key at home too?
Yeah, no, it was definitely low key in the beginning, but it honestly, if you're telling me, like, it didn't take hard for me. It didn't take much for me to realize that like he had that going. Like I kind of knew it beforehand, and like we sleep in the same room. Like nights that he'd pass out early, like his phone would just be going ding 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 ding, like just
Oh yeah, I remember
notifications
that.
on notifications, and like I'm a nosy motherfucker. I was like, who's texting this guy this much? And then like I would look at it occasionally, see Instagram, like you would just see the notification, like Instagram, and then in parentheses DC Millionaire. So I was like, what? I looked that up before you even like kind of brought it up, and I was like, this page, like you got to be kidding me, like over 100,000, like what? And
I
then
didn't tell you beforehand.
no, this was like early in the stages. I'm telling you, way early. And then eventually you told, honestly, I knew that might have been mixed up with your fitness thing because I think I saw on your account DC Fitness or
Yeah,
DSC Fitness or something
I
like
think
that.
you're.
I saw that first. I think you told me about the DC. So that's crazy enough that you made a fitness account to begin with and you kind of learned stuff, and then that got taken down, and then you switched over to a more like brand friendly page of like motivational like business tips and all that, which I thought was crazy. And I think it definitely, to go on top of that, like once I found out about that and saw that and he told me everything, like, I mean, obviously you got to give respect to that. It was crazy. But then like in the beginning, it was almost like, does he really know this stuff? Like, do these people know like this junior in high school is the one giving him like this advice and all this? But then like I realized
Not a millionaire.
yeah, I was like, do they know this kid is like in high school and not a millionaire? Like, but then I put it together and I was like, I saw the content. I was like, no, the content does make sense. And like, you can learn this at whatever age if you actually sit down and like teach it to yourself, read all this stuff and like learn all this. It doesn't have to be reading, like watch videos, whatever it is. And that's what people need to learn. Like, there's multiple ways to actually take in information. Like, some people do better. They can sit down and read a whole book in 2 days, like a 400-page book in 2 days. Other people, they might get it from an audiobook or something. And like, you just taking in all that information gave you a huge upper hand in just promoting a whole page about business and everything. Because then once you kind of, by senior year, you started telling people in high school, like, all right, like this is actually me. Or you were self-promoting it maybe on your Instagram. You might have put it in your bio or something. And then people found out through that. And then people were telling me, like, is this actually your brother's page? Like, I was like, yeah, like it is. So people in our high school found out about then. But I think it was that summer you started TikTok, right?
Yeah, I saw it was like I don't know how I knew, but I knew it was gonna become like the next big app for some reason.
I feel like you told me
Yeah,
Gary
it was
Vee
Gary
said something
Vee. I
about
know
it.
why. Like,
No, yeah, Gary Vee said it. This is gonna be the best app. Like,
But yeah, you were
you
super
were
early on
way early
TikTok.
on.
You were like,
I mean, because that's what I'm
yeah,
saying. Like, I'm telling you, you could definitely say, if you ever did see Gary Vee in person, like, if I had to take my guess, if I had to put my money down, if I was a betting man and you told me to put my money down, I'd say a majority of the reason you're so entrepreneur minded, and that you kind of like started, like, you were always made that way, but like what really made you realize that and realize that you could do it was probably Gary Vee.
yeah, shout out to Gary Vee.
yeah.
That is, yeah. But
No, yeah, he really opened my eyes.
yeah,
It was crazy.
Because you were, I mean, we should be talking about Jack because this is not like, I don't know, whatever. But I was gonna say, like, Devin was like not, I don't know, I did not see Devin as like, oh, this entrepreneurial kid, like XYZ, like working on the weekends or whatever. And then like all of a sudden, like somebody snapped a finger and the kid like changed like crazy.
Yeah. Yeah.
Which shout out to Gary.
Shout out to Gary Vee
Save
on
the
that.
kid.
Yeah, and that definitely happened towards the end of senior year. Like, you definitely had it, and I think like you were keeping it low key during high school, but after senior year, you realized, like, all right, no, this is what I'm actually doing. I really don't care about what people think, and that's when you started promoting not just a page that you didn't have your brand on, but like your actual own brand. Like, you were posting videos on TikTok and all that. And
Yeah.
I didn't really take TikTok, like, I didn't take you TikTok seriously at all that summer. Like,
Yeah, you didn't believe college like students would be using it.
yeah, which
right
is
before I went off.
nuts, dude. That time I was like, it's because
That was a year ago too. It's not even
no,
like
that
that
was
long ago.
was that a year ago?
That was right before I went
That
to.
was like 2. But Jack's got a point. Like TikTok, when TikTok was Musically, it had such a bad rep. So like,
Yeah,
when they rebranded, that was a really
yeah,
smart move. Just because Musically was just Jacob Sartorius was the face of it, and it was like shot.
yeah. You could
so,
arguably say that rebrand right there might go down in history as one of the best rebrands ever. If TikTok stays unbanned and like still grows as the media platform that it is currently, like, there's endless, like, you don't know where TikTok's going to end up, honestly. Like, it just keeps on growing, I think, with their monthly active users, which is crazy because it's the same thing that happened with Facebook. Like, oh, it was a bunch of kids early, now it's our parents. it's kind of the same thing, which is nuts. Like Devin said it from the beginning. He's like, TikTok's gonna be the next app. TikTok's gonna be the next app. I was like, I don't know, man. Like, it's a lot of young kids, like young kids. I don't see like people my age doing it. People didn't really like it my age, and they were just like, oh, it's all these cringy young kids. And like here we are a year later, and the same kids my age that were saying that, like one of my good friends came up to me like 2 weeks ago, and he's like, dude, it's pretty nuts that your brother was saying last year, like, oh, this TikTok app's gonna be the next thing. And like now people in my school that are college seniors are like constantly sending videos on TikTok. I was like, yeah, that is like that pretty much explains no one really saw it coming. And it shows how quickly, like, and that's another thing, it shows how quickly social media like fluctuates, I think. And it's kind of, you always have to adapt. And I think that's one thing Devin was good at. And it's like, he still is pretty good at it, like adapting to different genres, always being in touch with your audience and everything. And that's stuff that I kind of learned off of him. But like, you do got to switch, because if you stay stagnant, especially in this era, like people are hot or whatever you want to say on top for 6 months. Like I'd say the top. Not
Not
even.
even. Some people blow up and then they're like
Yeah.
irrelevant the next
Yeah.
week.
And I think it's just
But
complacency,
like,
honestly. Like people think they can do the same thing and they don't want to adapt. And that's where they go wrong. Because like, you don't want to be known as the one kid who does that one thing. Like you don't want to be known as that. You want to be known as your own name. Someone who's like actually has done multiple things. People like you for who you are. You don't want to be like, oh, that one kid. And I think I heard Logan Paul say that before, and that like him and Jake Paul, I think, are the best examples of social media like entrepreneurs. They both have their own separate side businesses, but they literally started from Ohio, like making videos together, and they've adapted completely off of different platforms. You could say Vine, Instagram. They both have over like 18 million. YouTube, huge on. And now Logan's going into podcasting. Like they, and Jake in boxing, like Logan as well. Like you could say like they've conquered so much stuff, and it all started with social media. And I think that kind of goes to show like how influential and important it is. And my friends that are college seniors right now, all these marketing classes, like a lot of these textbooks aren't super updated, and like
dude, they're not updated
yeah,
at
and
all. That's why I'm not in college and I'm watching YouTube
yeah,
videos instead. Like 100%
it's
seriously.
crazy, because like I always preach to my friends about like all of the marketing and everything, and like which apps are hot, and like my friends will send me Snapchats like, look what my textbook says is like the number one app like right now. And it's like they had, I think, Facebook number one, or the hottest app, and it was like Facebook number one. I was like, eesh. And like it was talking like certain stuff, and I was like, yeah, like these aren't really updated. And it was saying social media marketing, like they don't know if it's worth it in the end. Companies have still been trying to do it, like they don't know if the money that they're paying actually pays off. And it's like, well, first off, it's probably because they aren't doing it correctly. Like if you do social media marketing correctly, it is the best bang for your buck. Like you're reaching millions of people if you do it correctly, and it shouldn't cost all too much. And that's where making your own brand comes into play. And I think that's where Devin like learned that from an early age. And like once you build that, that's a huge asset to have. Like that is the future of marketing right there.
Yeah, and going off of that, like so many companies, like I know my dad's company and just all these like big corporations, they're like cutting ties with the whole like you need a college degree to work for us. Like they'd rather see Devin have 3 million followers and all this experience working in social media than like a marketing degree that essentially means you read these textbooks from the 90s that have nothing to do with like TikTok, Snapchat. Like it's like these days it's like it's not as important to go to school, and it's more important to like get your hands in social media, whether it's like growing a niche account or like growing your own personal brand. Like
Dude,
companies care
yeah,
about
and
that,
they
which
and
is a
the
good thing.
smart company, as I say, should and do, but like it blows my mind because like I've gotten certain like not arguments, but just like back and forth of what's right, what's wrong with like girls or not girls and boys, I guess, but it happened one time to be a girl who was majoring in marketing and like specifically social media, like marketing and stuff. And we had a disagreement on one thing on like how to grow. And I was like, I'm sorry, but I know you're wrong. And she's like, I'm sorry, but I just got hired for this internship as their social media marketer. And I was like, well, then they're screwed. I'm sorry. Like, you're doing it wrong. And that's the thing. Like, these people are learning it wrong in the textbooks, and they only bring that over to the company, and then that they're gonna have to learn on the fly there. And like that's what I'm saying. It's like if they're such an expert, why don't they have a massive brand themselves? You know, like if they like obviously it's better to have your own brand because then your own person, you have freedom. You can maybe save up, start a business, use that marketing side to start your own business rather than and it's like that's the thing. If there's such an expert in that certain see more brands in the future, I think these certain social media for their like board of directors or something, or just their director of social media, because no one is going to have that expertise like these current social media influencers right now that are actually building their own brand. And companies will soon find that out, and they'll be picking and choosing from these type of people. The smarter ones have been able to hold it for a long while because like they've learned through all that. Like that's better to choose from one of those than someone in college who has 500 Instagram followers and is private, never tried putting themselves out there, but thinks they know how to like grow a brand on social media, but has never done it. And I think you'll see that, like you already see it with Triller, which is like upcoming platform, and they brought on Josh Richards, who's 18, to be their what I think head of marketing or head of
something.
Chief
chief
strategy officer.
strategy officer, and he's 19 years old. And it's like that's a smart move if you honestly think about it. He's the most in touch with current day social media that you could get from anyone else. Like anyone else. Like he's been in the game for 4 years, 4+ years probably. He knows social media like the back of his hand. Like
He has experience.
he has experience, and he has experience. He's currently doing it too. So it's like you want proof of the pudding. Like you want someone good at it. Like have someone who's currently growing his own page right now to 18+ million followers. So I think companies will start to do that because up until 5 years ago, social media wasn't a thing for companies. Like they weren't really promoting that much on social media. Like I said, social media, I didn't think of it as a business tool. And companies in the past 12 months, I think the pandemic sped that up very fast, actually. Like, because since there's no public really, everything's online. So I think you kind of see it like companies that have a great deal of customers use their app or great amount of followers on certain platforms. Those are the ones succeeding right now because they're keeping touch with their fan base, like, or their customers. Like,
Yes, social media is just fuck.
I mean, it's just taking over. Like, and you like even with you saying like yeah, like Josh Richards and stuff, but like even Devin, like I talk to all these brands, and some of these brands are saying like yeah, like let's have Devin run our entire TikTok, and we'll give him a monthly
yeah, it's
salary. Like
crazy.
brands, not all
Yeah.
brands, but it's starting to change where it's like I don't even care about a resume. I'm looking at your TikTok, and that's all I need to see. It's
Exactly.
like that's where the future's going with like who's going to run social medias and stuff like that. It's not about if you have a marketing degree or social media. Like, it just
Yeah,
doesn't matter. It's all like proof of
and
concept.
Well, technology is just moving so fast that like these brands have to adapt.
they have to adapt, and the ones that aren't big on social media, especially with Gen Z, it's what people don't understand. Gen Z right now has the largest population in the whole world. No, they either have the largest or 28%, somewhere around there. I remember looking up the stats. But by 2035, they'll have the largest spending power in the United States. Gen Z will. And you
Wow.
got to think that in 2035 they're going to be 10 years, 15 years. So these kids that are 8, 10, whatever, that makes sense. They're going to be 28, 30. They're going to have money, they're going to have jobs. These are the same kids that are attached to their phones on social media. That isn't going to change, I don't think, at all. I don't think social media is going anywhere. So that's why some of these forward thinking companies realize, like, oh wow, like this isn't something that we can just brush off and it's going away. Like, oh, these younger kids are going to be our customers in 10, 15 years. They're going to have the most amount of spending power. It's not going to be like the boomers or anything that aren't on social media. Like, this is reality. They're going to be on social media. This is going to be a thing. We need to get good at it. And I think they're realizing, with a bunch of these kids that are in college that have marketing degrees, like, college you definitely need for a lot of different careers, I'd say. But some of the stuff they're teaching in marketing is just like
It's terrible.
It's terrible, and
Like
and you need experience with social media. That's the thing. Like, and that's the thing that I learned. Devin got me to start doing it May last year, and like you learn so much so quickly, and that's what you kind of need. Like, it's with any job. Like, you go in, like, college is only so good, but it's like, it's hard when they're not teaching you the correct stuff, and then you're thrown into a situation where companies like, grow this page, and you're using the stuff from the textbooks, which isn't totally correct or isn't up to date. And like, what people don't realize, by the time that it's in the textbooks of like, oh, this is the way to grow your page, this blah 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 blah, like, the algorithm has changed. And that's what I learned with TikTok. Like, the algorithm changed, like, I'd say 2 to 3 times in the 6 months I was posting super consistently.
it
And
changes all the
and
time.
it's crazy. And it was like, at first it was like you had to post during your certain, like, peak hours, and then eventually it was like, Devin was telling me, like, you can post at 3 and it just, like, doesn't matter, like, it eventually, like, take off. And I was like, damn, what? It switched. And like, it switches so much like that. And that's the thing, like, you don't realize that, or you don't know that, or you don't know the correct way it switches, unless you're constantly posting content, and posting the correct content, so you can actually see the actual insights and stuff. And people that are just posting content on a company page that aren't getting engagement, like, they don't know what's working, because nothing's working for them. And that's the thing. So like, when a company sees someone like Devin that has 3 million followers, has engagement on most of his posts, they go, okay, so he should know a certain amount. Let's see if he can run this page, get engagement, and like, he'll work from there. And I think that's the biggest thing, engagement. Like, I think that's what boosts accounts, and I think Devin could agree with that too. Like, just
Mm-hmm. I mean,
Yeah,
you
for
can't
sure.
just like study social media. Like, there's only so much you can study that'll help you. You just gotta like dip your feet in and just like try it, because like everything's changing every single day. I feel
exactly,
like.
it's the quickest
Yeah.
changing thing.
Mhm.
With Devin, so like, I also feel like you're so different than the average social media like, there's literally people, and like, I'm not shading anybody directly, like, at all, but there's people with the same amount of followers, more engagement than you, and they haven't made a dime from social
Yeah,
media, like, and they haven't built their brand up where it's like a company's like, all right, I want you to, because like, you're everywhere. If you think about it, you're on every social media platform. You're in on different websites, like, you're on Pinterest, like you're literally everywhere. So like, if a company looks up your name, or if they do something, like, you're gonna be in their face no matter where they are. But like besides that, what are like some of these kids? I guess just started for fun and blew up, and they don't take it so seriously. So like, what would you recommend to like a TikToker with like over 1 million followers that's just like struggling to find a way to
Yeah, I feel like a
monetize?
lot of kids that do have a bunch of followers just did it for fun. They just don't really care. But like also a lot of them are honestly stupid. They have no idea what they're doing. And they make no money, but they have so much potential. But like the best advice would be just building a strong brand on every platform. And a lot of other influencers don't like talk to their fans and supporters for some odd reason. I think that's like the biggest thing. Me and my supporters are like very close. I try to connect with them with different apps, like group chats, just like give away a bunch of stuff. I think that's like the best success is just like giving back to the people that made you in the first place. But
Yeah.
like all these other creators are just not doing that for some weird reason. They're just like selfish or I don't know.
I
I really
also
don't know.
think that knowing your worth is also huge, and I think like the fact that you and Brendan went to the same high school, kind of were friends beforehand, and then just kind of took off once you guys both like knew
Yeah,
that
we
you
got
guys
lucky. I
found a
got lucky
passion in
with him.
entrepreneurship, and like you guys pushed each other, and like both you guys are smart in so many different aspects of social media, and like Brendan with management and everything. Like Brendan always had you like know like, all right, you got to know your worth. Like you're not gonna get underpaid in certain aspects. Like you reach this amount of fans, like that should cost this amount of money. And certain kids that hop on social media, dude, they're 17, 18 years old. Like they see like maybe a little bit of money and they're like, wow, like that's 8 hours of working like my minimum wage job. Like that's 3 days. Oh my God. Like for that video. But it's like if you put the numbers together, you're reaching millions of people. That should cost a lot more. You should be getting a lot more money. And like, it's people need to know that beforehand. And there's a lot of people, it's a sad thing to say, but like they are getting taken advantage. Either they don't have a manager and they're getting underpaid and they're accepting, or in a lot of cases there are managers out there that just like tell the person you're getting paid this much, but they actually manage to work a deal for a lot more, and they take some of that. So then like you always hear stories about that. Like Bryce Hall was even talking about that. He said that his old manager like took thousands and thousands of dollars, and that's crazy. But I think
I hear about that stuff. I do hear about that stuff, but I don't get how those people pull it off. Because like when you come to tax season, like all that stuff comes out. So it's like how I
I
don't get how they're even doing that. Not that I want any ideas
yeah,
to get some money
Yeah,
out
what
of
do you
Devin, but
think
like
over there?
wink wink.
I don't understand how they
Yeah.
get away with it. It's like
I,
I guess
I'm
they don't, and that's why
they
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 get
must
caught.
get
But
caught, or I'm telling you, I have a feeling these managers were probably like put in, like nudged the
Ew.
shoulder to a 16-year-old kid and was like, yeah, I'll do your taxes too, don't worry, I'll send them in. And like the kid didn't think twice. He's like, taxes, I don't know what that is. Like, and that's a whole nother story of like we really don't get taught much at all in schooling of like money management at all, financial stuff, like investments. But that's how I think they get taken advantage. They're like these people that are popping off, and that the big ones in social media, they get started from such a young age that like if you had me at 16 years old and like some guy was working deals and like said, oh yeah, I'll write your taxes off, I would have been like, all right, like I made a couple $1,000, like that sounds about right. I'm only posting videos on Instagram, like yeah, I shouldn't, like I wasn't making any before when I was posting videos.
yeah, some of these kids are just like shocked when they see
Yeah.
$100 too. It's like I saw somebody with, I kid you not, 1 million followers on uh TikTok, and he posted a video like saying he needed like $20, and he's like, "Can 20 people Venmo
Oh
me
my
$1?" I'm like,
there should
dude, you
never
have a
be
million
that
followers. Like,
scenario for you, like,
yeah, that's what I'm saying. It's like,
and
yeah, like they're tough times, but like
yeah,
you're doing something wrong if you have 1 million
Can't make
followers
20
and
bucks.
you
yeah,
need.
you're doing, and Devin
Yeah, I
always
don't
talks
know.
about that. And like honestly, if I had to take a guess, that guy probably didn't have that large of a reach on Instagram. He might have, but I think that goes into something else. Like Devin was always big on like you gotta perform on all platforms, and I think he got that from Logan Paul, maybe Gary Vee. Gary Vee's done a lot for him, but Logan Paul and Jake Paul, like they're one of the best examples. They just switch on platforms, they adapt, and like
Adapting is key for
adapting's
social.
key, but it's almost like you got to prepare a little bit too. Like you got to be on all platforms. Like there's definitely got to be one platform where you're you're putting out. That's where you're putting a majority of your energy and making sure that that content is good. But you got to make sure you're growing all platforms.
Yeah, 100%. And I feel like that's a good like note to like leave off on. Like, you got to be on all platforms, no matter what. Really, like even Devin, we have Devin on like Pinterest, which is up and coming.
More
But
people
We're
here.
pumping that
that's
out.
pretty crazy. But yeah, so let's wrap this up. I appreciate you
no
coming
problem.
on, Jack. And yeah, everybody, thanks for
Mhm.
tuning in, and make sure to tune in next week.